channel. In today's video we're going to be going over the Dewalt 20 volt max chainsaw. It is the battery operated one, obviously, with it being the 20 volt line. I was very well surprised and happy about this one. This was a Christmas gift as well. It was a early Christmas gift from my wife because we were doing some property maintenance and had 2 trees to fell, and my friend of mine was going through and cutting down some of the limbs with his chainsaw, and my wife kind of looked at him and was like, well, should I? He's like, it's up to you. I'm over there just like, can we get this tree out of the yard? Like, out of the road, actually. And we were going through, cutting it up, and she came over and she goes, okay, come in real quick. I was like, okay. And she goes, okay, happy early Christmas. And I was like, what? She surprised me with this, which was a hell of a surprise. I, of course, felt she spent way too much and was very happy at the same time because I was not stopping talking about it. I had prior a Ryobi 40 volt chainsaw, which I loved, and it worked great for about 4 or 5 limbs getting cut up into logs. Reason being was that I had, as probably a variety of people have had with the Ryobi tool line, where my battery ended up failing on me. So I've been in the market for one for a while, and I've been looking through reviews, and I saw the 40 volt version, but I had no clue about the 20 volt version. Well, my wife, unbeknownst to me, had gone out and purchased the 20 volt version and held on to it for Christmas. And I was at Murdoch's one day and I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, hon, look at this. I want this one. This is awesome. It does everything I want, and I'm super excited. So I'm very, very happy with this tool, and let's get into it without further ado. So this is the 12-inch model, which few people might think, 12 inches, you can't do too much with it. Well, actually, no. The motor in this one is strong enough that you can throw the 16-inch bar on it. It just comes with the 12-inch bar, which I prefer it to come with the 12-inch bar because it kind of seems like a downgrade to purchase a 12 if you had the 16. But the 12 is awesome if you're going to go packing up into, you know, camping situations where you don't want to have a large chainsaw with you. You want to have something small, something that you're going to make a few limb cuts, you're camping for the night, you're camping for a couple days. You're not going to be going through and trying super hard to fell a whole tree and, you know, completely cut up an entire tree. You're just there for a couple nights type deal. This is perfect. You don't have to worry about gas spilling as you're going up the bumpy road or anything to go camping. And that's not the only main thing that is awesome and phenomenal with this chainsaw. I love a variety of different aspects of it, so we can get into it real quick. This is meant to be an unboxing, but it was before Christmas, and I was happy to get it, and I'm super excited. So I thought about making the content then, but a few things happened with the shop, so that's why a few of these videos are a bit delayed in my reviewing of them. But I've had time to use the tool as well, so I can give a little bit more of an honest opinion of that as well. So let's open the box real quick so I can show you what's in there. So when you open up the top, you have just a little sleeve of cardboard that comes out. This is the tool-only edition, by the way. So there's not too much to it. It's literally an empty box. I think this did have a little plastic sleeve on it. You have your instructions manual, and then you have a single piece of cardboard. Hooks on there really well. Had the same issue when I first got it. So that's all that comes in the box. Is your chainsaw, manual, and you have a little dust cover for it. Since this is the tool-only edition, it's all you need. With battery, they say this is 9 pounds, which I believe them. This thing is super light, and I actually have it full of bar oil right now. And it weighs nothing, which is another thing I really enjoy, because if you were to be using this up in the woods, or if you were to be using this in a lot of like practical applications just around the house, or if you were to be going up on a 4-wheeler or something like that, you don't want to have a full-size chainsaw that's like good 20 plus pounds just lugging around and trying to use that all day. Now if you're with like the Forestry Service or something along those lines, you're going to want the power that you're going to need with that to be able to clear, you know, pathways and trails and everything else, and the roads or wherever a tree may have fallen or anything like that. Then you would want something very high and powerful. You're not going to go out and buy one of these unless you're just doing some like ditch riding or something like that up here and around the mountains. This would be perfect for that. So anyway, besides the forestry, and a couple of different ideas. That's just a few that came to mind that I thought of when I was looking at this model and using it. Really just love the look and feel of it for that weight, but this model also has a few other fun features to it. So you can get to just about any part of it without any tools, which is phenomenal. But I mean, a few different models are doing it now. So your main fill right here, you just pop up a little tab, turn, and that'll fill up for the bar oil. On the other side here, you have your chain tensioner on here, as well as the main part here, which you'll see there's some sawdust in here because, well, I've been using it. A little bit of a long-winded guy. And if you, for any reason, are out and about and snap this off, you still have the ability to also use an Allen key to unscrew this component. So it's not like you're completely just out of luck. I'm going to take off the cover. Pardon the dust here. You have just your bar, your chain, and your tensioner. And everything just goes to where you loosen a little bit, and the whole thing comes right off. You can clean out. Right here is where the bar oil goes into it. And it has worked phenomenal. I've got this thing super grody, just like gnarly, dirty, however you want to say it. I've gotten this thing very dirty before, and it just keeps working like a champ. Alright, so features and everything aside, looking at the unit itself, we can go over a few little specs and everything for you. So for basic operation, when it is in use, pop it back, run your chainsaw. If it kicks back on you, your hand would potentially disengage, as the safety is with most chainsaws, or all chainsaws should be. You can see on here it's got a very similar motor style for the good old Dewalt styling. That is proper terminology. The handle is just pretty much almost exactly like a great deal of their tools in general. So it's a very familiar, very ergonomic feel that they have for their whole tool lineup. And it's very comfortable in any real position, which is what they designed the drills off of, so I'm happy to see they just kind of brought that forward onto the chainsaw as well. Now I know a few of you are probably thinking, well, why didn't you go with the larger flex volt style? But in all honesty, I've got the 20 volt lineup. The batteries are very expensive. On that note, I did buy one. But this has all the power and torque that I'm going to need because, like I said, I don't work for the Forestry Service. I'm not somebody that's going to be going out and commercially cutting wood every single day. This probably could handle most everything if you were to just be felling all the little limbs off of a tree. And then you could fall pretty decent sized trees with this one. It has a 10-inch cut, is what they said on their website, but I have cut a little bit thicker. I've cut up just about to the very tip of it. And it did bog down a little bit, but it still made the cut. So let's go over, first and foremost, a little cautionary thing. I had most of my batteries charged when I got it. It was the tool only, so I ran through the gauntlet of my batteries, made my cuts. I even went through and made a little almost finished chainsaw bear, and it worked great. The downfall that I didn't know at the time, because I didn't do research or check into, was that on Dewalt's site, and also just looking at tool specs on this, they suggest that you should not use anything under a 4 amp or a 5 amp. And you can use flex volts on this. And at first I thought, oh, that should be not a problem at all. It'd just probably be like runtime or something. Well, no. The chainsaw does run at a lower RPM when you use a smaller battery. Because what I used, out of curiosity, was my tiniest little 1 amps that come with the first drill set that Dewalt came out with, pretty much. So these are the OG little black versions. And then they came out with their 2 amps as well. They actually had the battery indicator. And so I used these as well as I used my 4 amp and 5 amp. I noticed a tone change in the lineup when I did use these batteries. I didn't think too much of it. So looking into it a little bit further, these batteries' capacity, or well, of what kind of amp hours that they have to them, or a single amp hour and a double amp hour essentially, have a problem where this draws too much power. So this can do the cuts and everything just fine, but if it drains these too many times, it over drains them, kind of like how the Ryobi batteries, to an extent. These will still charge, but you'll end up damaging the cells because it's harder and harder, and you can kill the lifespan of the batteries pretty quickly. So after a few charges, I looked into it and realized, oh, okay, don't do that. I nixed these. The batteries I would use are the good old 4 amp. Use this one a whole heck of a lot in construction. And I also bought the 5 amp. those work just fine. No issues, no problems. I have caulking on that one from construction. And these are what would normally ship with the tool as well, as either a 4 amp or a 5 amp and a normal charger. What I ended up doing was I saved up, sold my Ryobi chainsaw, and used the funds, or most of the funds, to buy a 6 amp flex-volt battery. And this thing is a beast. I do notice just in the same facet of when I tried using these lower amp hour batteries how it kind of dropped a tone. Going from the normal 5 and 4 amps, I went to this one. You can actually hear a tone increase on the chainsaw. Minimal, but still it's there. Like, here, I can have you listen real quick. So if I hook in, fully charged up, and here we go. This is the 4 amp. Normal tone. If I hook in a 5 amp, a little bit of a tone kick up from the 1 extra amp hour. Then if you go to the 6 amp battery, it goes up like just another tone. So 4, 5, and 6 amp, especially this being the flex volt style, actually do a tone changeover, which is crazy. So real quick, let's go over some specifications of the tool. Most everyone who's going to be looking at this probably already has a general idea, but a few things is I will read off the box because not everyone gets the box right in front of them. If you're at Home Depot and you're kind of looking around, you don't know what the box looks like, you look up a video like this one, you'll see what the box looks like. So you know for a fact you're grabbing the 20 volt, which would say in the box, but still, you're grabbing the 20 volt, tool only. This is what the box looks like. So the item number on here is DCC S620B. It's on the very bottom of the box right here. So from the purchase of the tool, you have 90 days for returning or any issues with the tool. You also get a free service. So if you pay to send this tool into Dewalt, they will, within the first year of you having it, service it for free. You can also utilize and purchase a 3-year warranty, I believe through Home Depot, but it also has a 3-year warranty. So if for whatever reason within 3 years something that is on Dewalt's side of things for manufacturer fails, not if you were using this commercially or a couple other things that would void that warranty, which is why it's called the limited warranty. But if you're just felling a few little limbs or trees in your property and it sits in your shed and it never gets exposed to water and a variety of other things on a list you can look up on their website for the 3-year, then within those 3 years they will replace the components or send them to you. But if it's stuff like your bar wears out, your chain wears out, your battery dies, that's not necessarily under the limited warranty. Looking up Dewalt's website itself, this same tool right here, just the tool only, is a 20 volt max XR compact 12-inch cordless chainsaw. Same thing it lists off here. You don't have the fumes issue because it's electric, so you're not going to have to worry about mixing gas and trying to figure out your ratios. And if you go up in elevation like I do to go up on the mountain, or if you're around on just on the block of your neighborhood trying to clean up some trees or bushes or anything like that, you don't have to recalibrate your carburetor on both high end and low end and just constantly play between the two lines. For me, I can go up 3,000 feet in elevation just to go up on top of the mesa to go around and kind of play around for a while and utilize the chainsaw. Or if I wanted to clean up around the campsite or anything like that. So in that idea, I love it. It makes it a heck of a lot easier. I'm not constantly having to go around. I'm not having to carry around a can. Now, those who constantly use chainsaws and are used to having that and are used to all those things won't necessarily see the benefit right off the bat. So kind of give and take on that one. So low kickback, it is ruggedly designed for outdoor applications, compact, lightweight, and like I said, it says so on here. So if you have the normal 4 or 5 amp hour battery attached to the chainsaw, the combined weight of the two of these items is only 9 pounds. So this, if you were having to do cutting of limbs up above, we'll put the guard on just because I'm moving it around. I talk a lot with my hands if you haven't noticed already. But I can toss this in the back of my truck. It feels rugged, well designed where I'm not going to have that issue. It's got multiple safeties in line. So if I have that back, it would work. Otherwise it doesn't work even if I hold down the safety. So you have to click this back. You also have to hold in the switch to actually pull the trigger to have it go off. I won't do it, of course, because the cover is on. But, like I said, 9 pounds. This thing does not weigh much at all. It's amazing and awesome. And 12-inch bar is good for just about any kind of normal duty little light stuff. And the beauty of this motor is it is more than strong enough to support having a 16-inch bar, which is a roughly around $30 purchase. So you can't extend the bar. Just like you saw with me taking the cover off, you would just buy the bar, open up the packaging, probably with a pocket knife, and then put the whole thing on with your hands. Not a bad investment to have the 12-inch bar and the chain for it, because that's a nice setup for doing any kind of small limbs. You could throw this in your backpack, because the overall length on this is not much. I'll go over that real quick in the specifications here for you. High efficiency brushless motor. So this will also help maximize the runtime by not having as high of a drain output on your battery. But as you heard, it still has a high amount of RPM kick out, and it goes up in RPM based on how much amp hour battery you put on, or the size of the battery. Up to 90 cuts per charge on 4x4 pressure treated wood using a 5 amp hour. So using the 5 amp hour battery, turning the same line here, those out of the way. So if you're using the 5 amp, you get 90 cuts roughly. Now that's also on pressure treated wood. Where did they say? Chemical treated. Yep, pressure treated wood, so it's a bit more of a dense wood. And just a 4x4, they found that you can get roughly around 9 cuts, or 90 cuts with the 5 amp hour. So if you had pine or softer wood type that you're cutting through, expect to have more cuts than 90. If you're on harder wood like oak or something that's going to be a bit more up there, you're going to expect to have a little less in cuts if you're using just the 5 amp hour. If you up it to the flex volt line at 6 amp hour, and expect those numbers to be about the same with hardwood, if not better. It has, like I said, the tool-free taking apart to get to the chain and everything else, which is nice. And also the tightening rod, which is super accurate. And even though it's lighter to use, it stays tight. I haven't had the chain go tight and try to like flop around and come off of the actual bar on me well in use. And I used quite a few cuts on this area. I've been having a lot of fun. Plus also doing chainsaw art on a little bit more of a hardwood tree. Definitely, I think actually no, it was a cottonwood, so it's a medium hardness. Part of the 20 volt max system of tools, so you can utilize the batteries. Bare tool, no charger. So the bar and chain is 12 inches. The chain gauge is a .043. Chain pitch is 3/8 of an inch. Your chain speed on this one is 25.2 feet per second, which, as you heard, that changes a little bit if you go up in amp hour. Now, I'm looking at a lot of the numbers they're showing based on the 5 amp hour. So if you were to utilize the 4 amp hour, expect a little bit of a decrease. Not huge, but just a little bit of a decrease, because you could hear that tone change, and the feet per second has changed as well. And it's compatible with all 20 volt max batteries, except those ones. There is an asterisk there, so that's probably do not use on anything less than 4 amp hour. So on the website it says it too. It is the product type chainsaw. That's a chainsaw? 20 volt max system. Without a battery is 7.8 pounds. Yeah, so 7.8 pounds. Add on not much weight, adds it up to 9 pounds with battery. So if you were to look over the box, pretty much everything I listed off of their website matches up on here. So no other little bits of information on the box. Looking it up and down, just shows a picture of the actual chainsaw itself. And it has multiple languages, let you know what's going on. So, in the manual, let's just kind of look through it here real quick. It gives you all the safety features, understanding. This shows a couple of different power things for AC or DC power output symbols. Information on charging your battery. So out of the 2 chargers that I have, my first original tool set came with this charger, and I was under the impression originally told that this is the slower charger, and that the ones that came with the new drill set had the speed charger in them, and the box said so as well. This is actually not a fast charge, I found out. Looking on the bottom of this style, which is the DCB 112 that has the ability to do the 12 volts as well as the 20 volt tool, actually has, it's just a 20 volt max Li-on charger. Max output on this one is 2 amps. So this has an output of 2 amps in it. And this older one, that came with the first drill set that I got, this is the DCB 101 battery charger that also has the ability to do 12 volts and also 20 volts. A little dusty. This one has a output of 4 amps. And this one is actually saying on the back here that this is the fast charger. So technically, this model is the fast charger. I know to a lot of different hardcore Dewalt users that also have quite a generous amount of their tool lineup will know the difference. But that was just one thing that me, having been in construction, just going down to Lowe's, buying the product, using it in the line of work and everything, and just continue with the lineup of tools from there. Never actually took the time to look at the back of the charger. I'm going to admit it, I was always head forward, keep moving on to the next project, and keep getting progress done. I didn't always take a look at those tiny details because it wasn't necessary to know exactly the outputs and the differences between the two chargers. So all that to say, on a fast charger, the larger flexible batteries charge in 1 hour. When I charged this last, it took it like 55 minutes. So less than an hour. I put it on a charger and everything because when I bought the tool, it had an initial charge. So if the battery's completely dead, more than likely it'll be about an hour. There's like 1 bar on there. I tried clicking it and playing with it a little bit, but otherwise I threw it on the charger pretty quickly, and like I said, it was just under an hour with the fast charger. Now that being said, this is 4 amp output versus on the other charger this is a 2 amp output, so expect double the time. Just simple math there. Might be a little less than 2 hours, but expect 2 hours to charge a larger battery on this charger. Now that being said, these batteries have always stayed true to around 45 minutes or so on either charger. Sometimes this goes up to almost an hour for the 5 amp hour battery. So kind of keep that in mind. Side note, that's all having to do with the batteries, but this is an electric chainsaw, so any information is good information, right? Alright, gives information for the fuel gauge battery packs, letting you know at what percentile what light shows. There's 3 lights, so you have your same 3 power settings for very little charge, medium charge, full charge. One of the things I do like about this and a lot of the Dewalt products is it'll actually show you a gauge, because one thing other people don't really think about, and me having a shop in my next to my house and having run power to it myself, I didn't realize this in the first part too, because I ran my whole shop off of extension cords at first. So depending on the thickness of your extension cable will definitively change how well those chargers output power. So in Dewalt's product lineup, with anything having to do with batteries, they have in their manuals a gauge and changeover here. So if you were to be able to run 240 volt or 120 to your shop or just to your actual output, it gives you length of cord and how much of a drop in power output it will get from that, which is a nice benefit. And for me on the job sites, when I did find that out, it definitely helped quite a bit, because then you had a lot greater appreciation for thicker extension cables that are of a thicker gauge. It gives you a lineup on how to utilize the toolless entry part here to get into the actual bar, how to adjust which direction to change it. For the bar tensioning, it gives you the same deflection. So on here you want to have an 1/8 of an inch deflection or 3 millimeters. The gauge in the front of it lets you know how much bar oil is in the chainsaw. Right now I'm at max. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. So through here you have your maximum line, and then down here just a little bit before the bottom is your minimum line for use, which it's always good to never run your chainsaw below that line, otherwise you can start heating up the blade and you can burn out parts of the motor, cause higher amounts of friction, burn out your chain. Just always make sure you use bar oil. It makes everything work a little better. If the chain is lubed up properly, it'll move. It won't wear out any of the little spindles or any of the bearings or anything. Well, this is nice. It gives you common cutting techniques and how to fell a tree properly. And always making sure that whenever you are cutting a tree that you have a line of retreat. This is nice. So I learned a lot of these little tidbits and information from my dad and from my grandpa. My grandpa is the one I felled the most trees with and just processed a lot of wood. He had a fireplace in his garage, so we always made sure to have wood. And there was quite a few different little excursions up on the mountain and stuff that I helped him kind of like collect the wood and everything back in the day, which was fun and nice to be able to do. And as well as I did a lot of wood chopping and processing with my dad for camping trips and just in general. It was something I used to do as a kid for exercise and just for fun. Alright, this also gives you a nice, well, it's just 2 pages, but it gives you all the proper information for how to use a chainsaw, so it's well worth reading through a lot of these manuals, because it's not always about the tool. Sometimes it gives you techniques for working with wood and working on the job site, and just little tidbits that'll help you in the grand scheme of things of whatever you intend to use the tool for, and common practices with it. So this one is very nice to give you how to fell a tree, how to properly process the wood. So whenever you're cutting wood, this has little plastic teeth right here. So you're supposed to press the log against those, so that way as this is cutting, it kind of grips and pulls the two together, and you make the full cut. If you pull the chain back too far, it can kick back on you, and that's why there's a safety on here, so that way it pops off and turns the chainsaw off, so you don't have that deflect into your face, arm, leg, any mishap. This is a good tool, a fun tool, but also a dangerous tool. But again, any tool, if used improperly, can also be dangerous. So, side notes. It also gives you how to properly sharpen your chain, how to make sure to maintain your chain. There's a lot of good information in it. And then it gives a part listing on here, so that way you can also look up to reorder any new components, what each component does. So for a lot of people, before they even feel comfortable to use a tool, will love reading through these. A little bit more information on the batteries, a little more information on the tool, and then it goes into a different language for the back. So on the back of the manual, we also have a battery and charger system. So hey, just like I was talking about earlier, this will give you how many outputs of voltage and how long each one of the chargers will take to charge each one of the batteries. So you have a scale here showing what batteries, and then it also shows what charger to let you know, or actually reverse that. This is your batteries, this is your charger. So this will let you know the output for the charger, and it'll let you know the time it would take for the battery to charge. That's nice and handy. So there's actually a lot of good information, and it's something that not everyone is keen on, but it's something I've gotten a lot more keen on, is holding on to the manuals, because there's a lot of times where it could be years down the road. You're seeing some issue or some problem, your internet's down or something's going wrong, or you just can't find what question you're asking on the internet because it's not the most prevalent or most watched segment of this is what I'm having problems with, and you're like, no, I'm having this problem. A lot of the times, 9 times out of 10, these will probably fix your issue. I'll also roll some segments throughout this of me using the said chainsaw. It was a lot of fun. It is a great tool. I'm not having any issues with the chain so far, and I've been using softwoods, hardwoods, just whatever's on the property around here. And this thing is just kicking like a champ. I haven't overheated or wore out the bar yet, or anything on the chain whatsoever. You can still see most of the decal. I know in a lot of like steel chainsaws and Husqvarna and a couple other ones, you'll usually after the first probably 3 or 4 times you really get down and dirty and use it, suddenly your logo's completely gone. Or in the steel you get just a little bit in the center that's left over. So this one hasn't had that issue or anything at all like that, which is nice. Just a side note, if you will. Alright, we're going to give a quick rundown on it. So the overall appeal of this, in my opinion, would be someone that wants mobility. They don't want to have to worry about if they forgot to get fuel for the chainsaw, if they're trying not to have to go buy premix or buy and ratio that out, or if they just feel that whole task is very daunting. This is something that can definitely do most of what they'd want to do. I do feel it could have some limitations. If I were to go up on the mountain and feel like I'm going to be using my chainsaw all day long, and I didn't bring a few things with, and I just had these 3 batteries fully charged, I could be out there and I could probably drop 2 trees, process it almost 100%, and throw it in a trailer just fine off of having 3 batteries. But if I was to go up there and I was planning on dropping quite a few trees or cleaning up quite a few different things, I'd want to bring like a generator, or I would have to have a really good strong inverter for my truck to run my battery chargers. And if I had 3 batteries and a good inverter in my truck, or have my truck running with the inverter going and my chargers going, I'd feel no concern whatsoever to run this chainsaw all day long on a 16-inch or this 12-inch, doing whatever task I'm planning on doing with it. And if I'm just doing basic like lawn care and maintenance or something like that in a more commercial setting, I would feel perfectly fine going to a client's house, dropping a couple little limbs here and there. You're not planning on being a full tree removal service in that instance. You're just trying to make their yard look good. You're trying to make their property look good. This is going to do that. And more than likely, if you enjoy Dewalt tools and you're looking at this one, you already have some batteries. So it's not a question of if you're going to have batteries on that job. So that instance, this is great. And there's a few times even in construction that I've had to use makeshift things, a lot of times a hatchet, to trim back trees when I was doing window installations. Where, okay, well the RO, or rough opening, is completely ready to go, but there's literally a branch hanging in the building just kind of swaying in the breeze. And ask the general foreman, am I good to trim up that tree, or am I going to get in some trouble for doing that? No, we need that done. That needs moved, but you can go ahead and take some limbs off of it, just don't kill it. Like, alright, so I'd be out there with a hatchet, something like this. Granted, that's a little bit of an odd situation. I would have loved to have had at the time. That would have been amazing. So this is still on par, I'd feel, with the commercial grade, just like with the rest of Dewalt tools for the most part, are all commercial grade. Side note on that, the Black & Decker, Porter Cable, and Dewalt are all under the same household. Your Black & Decker is meant for your household use and just basic use, mild enthusiast grade, but it still is going to be a little bit on the cheaper side. The product's going to have a little less good plastic use on it, a little thinner walls. The batteries aren't going to have as good of a long time of charging, but that's why they also look similar to the Dewalt. Porter Cable is going to be more for your enthusiast grade, and it's going to have a little bit beefed up parts and components to it, and sometimes they'll actually release a little bit more cutting edge technology that they're going to kind of feel out the market with in the Porter Cable lineup. So that's where you can sometimes get Porter Cable tools that actually will work almost a little better than the Dewalt lineup, and a variety of other comparables or competitors, because it's some of their more cutting edge technology. Now some of those will work horribly because it's on the cutting edge, so it could go one way or the other. That's where they're not going to risk putting it on Dewalt right off the bat. That's why you'll see some Porter Cable have more beefed up parts here and there. Now if you look at the components and the motors and everything that goes into Dewalt tools, that's where you see where your money comes in. So sure, might have polymers and plastic all over the thing, but when you actually look at what you invested your money into, that's going to be your motors, your components, and all the internals of this, plus also just the smart engineering that has gone through all of these tools. For instance, a buddy of mine in construction has this same brushless impact, and he dropped it onto concrete about 2 or so stories down and had the thing blow apart. And he just looked at it going, oh, it's never going to work again. He took the time and effort in the hotel room that night. Now I wasn't there for it. I got to see the end result and I got to see him afterwards. So I heard this secondhand from him though. But he was able to put it back together. He just popped all the motors and everything back into it, put the screws back into it, and it still works, and he still has it to this day. As for this tool, for the common person using this tool, I feel 100% behind it. That if you're not working for the forestry service and feeling like this is going to be something that would potentially protect you or save your life, because for the forestry there is a few times that you have had a chainsaw save your life, being a little better in this regard or that way. If you are starting to fall a tree and it starts to go the wrong way, you had a few different things that the chainsaw is able to do for you to save you in that instance, as well as just having your own ability and having your head about yourself to handle the situation. But this one, I was going to say that aside, this chainsaw I feel would be perfect for any homeowner. This would be perfect for anybody that's just clearing up something that fell in their yard, or if there was a tree that fell over, or you were feeling like you need to remove something from your property. This would be great. If you're camping, more than perfect. This is amazing for that. You just have a couple batteries, make sure they're charged the night before. It's nothing you have to worry about getting near the food. It's nothing you have to worry about dripping over and just ruining your back seat or your trunk space of your SUV. This will do everything you want to. And I will say, make sure this is fully tight. I filled it up with bar oil and it kind of spilled a little bit in the rim. And I didn't wipe that up before I put the lid back on. And what ended up happening was that little residual, just because of how thin the viscosity of the oil was, ran down and ruined the skirt under the tree that my wife was like, hey, let's put that under the Christmas tree. Would have been perfectly fine. I didn't clean up the oil, so it dripped out and ruined that. Not that you're going to have this on the tree skirt of your Christmas tree necessarily after using it, like we did. But it will run out, so if you do fill this and quickly put it in there, you could have a little bit of bar oil drip out of it onto your carpet if it is to be left in the interior of your car or SUV, what have you, if you're not just throwing it back to your truck. The ruggedness of its build and this little cover even just isn't super thin. It's actually a little bit more rigid and well built. I could feel like I could toss this around and it would take quite a bit before breaking or damaging. This has a cowl around where the battery goes. So if I was to be using the standard 5 or 4 amp battery, there's a little bit of extra gap for protection so I can hit the back of the handle or the side without damaging my battery. But also on that same hand, I can use a larger battery. And it still gives just a little bit of a protection and a bit more protection on the sides from bumping damage. There's still going to have a little bit of a chance of hitting the sides of it, but you can also use a larger battery without it being cumbersome or problematic. It does increase the weight. This is probably 12 pounds now. I can't remember. These are a bit more heavy, so if you throw those on tools, be prepared for that. But I could see this being put onto one of those chainsaw holders on your back or on your leg, and it won't tire you out. I would be more than comfortable to climb a ladder and just holding this kind of off to the side and scaling the ladder just fine without fear of this absolutely tiring me out or throwing my balance off. And I have no question that this would do just about any task I have to throw at it. One of the other uses I'm going to use for this is rough cutting lumber down to smaller sizes so I can bring it in here and turn it on my lathe. This is going to do great for that. I'm not going to have to worry about the throat size on my bandsaw being too skinny if I want to take in a large platform. This, if I put on the larger chain, I could do nice flat pieces that I could run through my table saw, or I can run through my joiner, or I can run it through my planer up to 13 inches for that one. This would be able to do it if I was to be making clock faces or something like that out of trees, which is all my purpose and use for it. This will be able to give me the rough cut slab that I can then run through that to plane it smooth, get it quickly processed to be nice and flat, and then I can go through that fun process of doing whatever I wanted to do with those slabs of wood that are more like cookie cutouts. So this is going to do that just fine. And like I said earlier, these are the batteries I would use with the tool. The 4 amp, the 5 amp, and the 6 amp. And you can go up to the 9 amp as well, which I haven't purchased. I don't have a need yet. I didn't really have a need for the 6 amp, but it was something that I was looking at as a desire to have longer run time for this, to where I could just run this battery up on the hill or out quick to a friend's house to clean up something or any kind of their end project. So all that to say, this is a wonderful product. I'd more than be happy to purchase it. Again, is what I'd say, but my wife got this for me. I'd be happy to purchase this one or even a second one if I ran some kind of lawn care or just maintenance around the house, or if I was a maintenance guy. This would be great for me. I could go out and clean up around some area that is on a tenant's property. If I were to just be like a landlord's maintenance guy on call or anything like that, this would be great. I could go through, clean up the area that I'm trying to get to fix part of the house, or if something fell on the property and I was called out to go clean it up and maintain that part of the house. If I was redoing something like that, this would do great. If I had bushes or anything else that needed trimming, or in my instance that also using it, if I wanted to fall a tree, take a large section of it, and then process it here in the wood shop to turn it into some cool little end table, or if I want to turn it into, like I said, a clock face or something like that, I can do that and feel completely confident in the product lasting and doing all of that. And I can toss in the back of any vehicle I'm taking to any location and not worry about it. As long as I got bar oil and a battery, I'm golden. I don't have to worry about fumes. I don't have to worry about the carburetor stalling out on me, having to change it and adjust it and spend hours of time on that. This is a time saver. You just click it back. After you have your battery in, make sure your guard's off, and you pull the trigger. And it does what it needs to. Pop your safety back on, pull the battery out, put it in the charger, you're done. Now, this does have sawdust collection and everything else where you should clean that out more often. I myself did not. That was on me. I should have done that earlier. But it was simple. I could do it fast, no problem, and I didn't have to have any tools. So it's a great product, and hopefully there's a little something out of this long and exacerbated conversation we've been having here, or this review of the said product, that you were able to have a good take home on. If you do enjoy some of the little bits and tidbits that I have told you so far on this product, make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. And hit the notification bell if you like what you see and want to keep seeing it. That way each time I upload, you'll get that notification to know that I uploaded for you. And thank you all so very much for your patience and for your enjoyment of my videos and letting me know on that. Patience in the facet of patience with me. I have a long wind sometimes to myself on these. More than happy to answer any questions that anyone might have as well. So don't forget to leave a comment below if you enjoyed the video or have any questions on the product. Or any things that you think might be a problem or that you are having as a problem with the product. I might be able to troubleshoot and figure it out as well in either an update video or just reply to your comment. So thank you very much for the comments that everyone's been giving on the other videos as well. That's been a great help. Lets me know what way to direct my next video, as well as it also helps me to know and help myself on my own product, but also other people who have problems with their product. If there's something I know or something that I've found out with mine that I can figure out to help you guys, I'm more than happy to share that information. And I try to answer every single comment that anyone has, so don't be afraid to leave a comment below. I'm more than happy to answer it. So thank you all again, and we'll see you in the next one.